Reality has been invaded by another world. Now is an era of class changes, where the class you awaken defines your future, and being weak is the original sin. Our story begins on a sunny day, showing from above a large structure, the Academy of Extraordinary Skills. Amidst a crowd of people, we focus on a young man laughing and mocking while playing on his phone. This is the protagonist of our story, Ning Feng, smiling as he celebrates his advantage over opponents, only to receive a slap on his cheek from a blonde-haired woman with amber eyes. This is Wang Yu, who scolds our protagonist for playing instead of preparing for the awakening exam that is approaching. Jokingly, he talks about balancing work and play, mentioning that since he's already 18, he'll probably only receive a common 2-star class. Then he comments on Wang having awakened a 5-star class at 16, teasing that he might as well just cling to her for support. She pulls him close, telling him he can rely on her. As she hugs him tightly, Ning Feng reminds her that the exam is about to start, while people around them discuss Wang's achievements, wondering how long the county had been waiting for a genius like her. She's amazing, they say, while simultaneously debating Ning's reputation as the infamous trash of the school. Nearly 18 years old, and he still hasn't awakened. They start mocking him while praising their goddess, questioning how a worthless orphan like him deserves to be her childhood friend. Wang then drags Ning to the testing area. The world is explained to us. Blue Star, a world where games have merged with reality. In this world, once you turn 16, you have a chance to unlock extraordinary abilities and become one of the famous adventurers. A voice then echoes for the second-year students, announcing that it will explain the exam rules where anyone can awaken. The voice is drowned out by Ning's thoughts, questioning if Wang really has to be so serious. After all, this is his third time taking the exam. The voice that echoed earlier becomes clear again, instructing students whose names are called to go to the testing area, where, upon awakening, they can collect a basic set for their class and proceed to the practical test. Some people around our protagonist discuss the classes they hope to awaken, like mage, melee, agile fighters, or the highly sought-after support classes. After a few students are called, Ning finally hears his name. He responds, affirming his presence, and walks forward, while others ridicule him, calling him useless. We see him approach a beautiful woman with purple hair, Professor KY. He calls her name as she informs him that they'll begin once he's ready. Placing his hand on a massive crystal, she instructs him to relax his mind. The crystal begins to emit a bright light, and after a moment of silence, everyone looks on astonished as the confirmation of the class awakening is announced. In her thoughts, Professor Kai explains that the blue light signifies a magical system. Upon awakening, it's expected that initial abilities are unlocked. Everyone is eager to see how many stars his class will have, while some laugh at him for being a magical class. Then it's revealed that he has awakened a 1-star class, and his skill is the magic slime. Professor Key appears disappointed and saddened by the outcome as students begin laughing loudly, mocking his single star. The professor then asks what skill he awakened, but he doesn't respond, prompting her to call his name again. She assumes he's shaken by only having a single star. She hands him his equipment, instructing him to change and proceed to the next phase. Taking the items, Ning wonders in his mind if he really heard correctly. He recalls the moment of awakening when his system appeared, informing him that he had met the conditions for the system awakening. In addition to magic slime, 2 passives appeared: Dark Origin and Mysterious Gift. Dark Origin prevents him from suffering the negative effects of dark force when using curses, and it also allows him to use them without any cost. Meanwhile, Mysterious Gift permits him to cast forbidden spells once a week at no cost. In shock, he questions himself, wondering if dark force isn't the most dangerous type of dark magic in the world. He also ponders how forbidden spells, the highest type of magic, are connected to him. The system then informs him that due to his passive abilities, the magic slime skill has begun to change, transforming into the profane earth shield. Returning to the moment he heads toward the test, he prays that nothing goes wrong. A large purple portal emitting an aura awaits them, as the teacher informs everyone that groups of 50 people will face monsters in this realm so they can become accustomed to their abilities. They won't be able to form teams among themselves, nor can they attack each other. Drones will monitor them to ensure they don't break the rules. She asks them to review their abilities and assures them that no one else will see them so they can remain calm. Ning, equipped with his gear, inspects his status window, which describes the profane earth shield. It calls upon dark forces from another world to form barriers that can crush anyone who approaches. He thinks about how doomed he'd be if anyone discovered his dark magic. He demands an explanation from the dance system as he enters the large purple rift. We soon find ourselves inside, observing a forest with tall trees where people are fighting goblins in various ways. However, our little knockoff Gojo hides behind bushes, reasoning that he can't use his ability with surveillance covering the entire field. He'll need to stay hidden until an opportunity arises since he has no other means of attack. The scene shifts to a room where people are observing the test through drone footage. A man questions why, while everyone else is engaging F-class monsters, little Ning is hiding. Professor Key addresses this man as Captain Joe, explaining that the protagonist awakened late, his health isn't great, and his skill is only defensive. The captain quickly suggests pulling him out, arguing that someone who can't become a real adventurer doesn't need to continue the test. Just after his comment, the man in charge of the drones calls for attention, questioning what's happening. Jao is informed that one of the drones was attacked by something and the transmission cut off. Monitoring then shows a power fluctuation well above the average for this beginner-level realm. As he orders a team to investigate, our view shifts to the broken drone in front of a young man sitting on the ground with his broken weapon, wondering why such strong monsters are present in a training session. We then see a cloaked goblin, smiling with claws like Wolverine's, fixing this novice on the ground. Several goblins follow him as he commands them to rise up and refuse to be enslaved, ordering them to bury all the invaders here. The goblins scream at their leader's command, while one of the drones observes the scene. It is soon launched down by a shockwave from the hooded goblin's fist. As it crashes, creating a small explosion, we see the protagonist fallen on the ground with a broken drone in front of him. He wonders why the drone fell, only to realize he is surrounded by goblins. The hooded goblin declares that there's a hidden insect nearby and orders everyone to attack. Ming wonders why so many monsters are gathered here if the hooded figure is their leader. However, in a brief moment of happiness, he notices that all the drones have disappeared. It's goblin fillet time. He raises his hand, declaring it's time to test if this curse is real. A purple aura emanates from his hand toward the sky as dark energy envelops him. He speaks out loud, activating the profane earth shield, and greenish skeletal figures emerge within the energy, charging toward the goblins. In the monitoring room, the head of operations reports that all transmissions have been lost along with an energy leak from the dark force. They suspect the appearance of a magical beast of king level or higher. Calling for reinforcements, Ju orders the evacuation of all civilians in the area, while Professor Kai's thoughts reveal that a king level creature alone is capable of destroying an entire city. She wonders why something so terrifying would appear in the exam. We return to the desperate goblins, with the hooded leader also bewildered by what's happening as the goblins before him are shredded by the monstrous figures of Ning's ability. Ning is awestruck by this dark magic and the strange sensation it brings. The system then begins to notify him of experience points earned for each goblin killed. As the dark energy nears the goblin leader, the leader questions if this boy is even human. How is it possible for him to wield such power? He realizes he's slowing down as the energy closes in, screaming in desperation as he's consumed, becoming just more experience for our protagonist. The system then notifies him of having killed a vanguard goblin, awarding him a total of 6,000 experience points. After defeating the vanguard goblin, he checks his status window. Now he's a level 10 mage. He celebrates reaching level 10 instantly, commenting that in the best case scenario in previous years, they only advanced 1 or 2 levels during this test. He considers how low the energy from ordinary monsters is and how he essentially relied on the elite goblin. He also wonders how an elite monster even appeared in the exam field. Putting that aside for a moment, he notices the drops left behind by the monsters on the ground. But what catches his eye is the item dropped by the vanguard goblin, all of which are orange quality. He examines the item, which permanently increases an attribute, noting he's never seen anything like it before. This item is the Vanguard Badge, a consumable that permanently boosts agility by plus 10 points. He then looks at the Shadow Claw of the Slayer, but it requires level 20 to be used. Equipping it grants certain attributes and a 10% chance to trigger the combo ability. He comments that even though he can't use it yet, he could sell it for a good price, excited that it might help him face some higher level monsters. At that moment, Captain Joe's voice echoes, ordering everyone to abandon the test and use their teleport scrolls to exit. Wondering what's going on, Ming looks around and realizes that the dark energy from his skill has left holes in the ground, devastating everything in the area. Thinking about how frightening it is, he decides he needs to leave quickly to avoid being discovered. Kneeling, he uses his teleport scroll. Along with everyone else, he is teleported back to where they were before entering the realm. Arriving with a mischievous grin, he hears Captain Zhu ordering everyone to leave immediately and head to the city. Joe thinks that even if everyone here joined forces, they wouldn't be able to face a king level or higher creature. Hoping the reinforcements arrive in time, he receives information that the source of the dark energy has vanished. The people in the monitoring room ask him if the creature might have escaped the realm. Captain Zhu then instructs everyone on the Slastoza server call, saying that this situation is now beyond their control and they should avoid causing alarm or disturbances. He orders them to create a magic seal with only one exit, allowing only unrelated individuals to leave. Ning notices Professor Tai listening attentively to her headset. He approaches, calling out to her, but she interrupts him, asking if he's alright. As soon as he confirms he is, she orders him to leave the school with everyone else and not to return unless necessary. The scene shifts to the protagonist walking alongside Wang outside on the street, now in casual clothes, commenting that Professor Tai had a look like she was about to face a mortal enemy. He wonders aloud to Wang about what's going on. Wang replies that they detected an unknown energy source at the school and it's been isolated. The protagonist wonders if this is the fault of the elite monster, lamenting that the test was interrupted just when it was his turn to awaken. The blonde observes him, wondering if he's very shaken by what happened, explaining to him that defensive spells can protect him but aren't suitable for close combat. She then tells him to join her team. He declines, saying he can manage on his own, brushing her off with a wave. He thinks it's not that he doesn't want to, because his only skill is both insanely powerful and corrupted. He can't use it recklessly in front of others. She shouts, pointing her finger in his face, refusing to let him decline. She immediately gives him the time, saying she'll be waiting at the west gate tomorrow morning, walking off without giving him a chance to respond. Trying to speak but being ignored, he wonders why this woman acts as if she's his wife. Frustrated with his hands on his face, he asks himself what he should do, but quickly realizes that with her personality, running away would be pointless. Suddenly, he comes up with an idea, though he's unsure if it will work. After devising a plan, we move directly to the front of a massive building called Yuan Cheng Exhibition. Our little cursed one stands before this enormous building, staring at it as he thinks about how some items might have skills embedded in them. Using an item with the magic sludge ability to pass as a mage could be one way to conceal his ability and go along with Wang. He enters the building, hoping his passive skill won't turn the equipment's abilities into curses. Considering also selling the monster drops he collected, he walks in until he's greeted by a dark-haired woman in a suit who seems straight out of One Piece, asking how she can help him. He requests to see any item, clothing, or weapon with a magic sludge ability. Asking if he's a newly awakened student, she explains that low-level spells like magic sludge aren't worth buying and asks if he wouldn't prefer something higher level. Little Ning declines, saying he only needs something temporary, so it doesn't need to be high-ranking. The woman then calls over a rookie assistant to help him and walks away, loudly remarking that after this mess, he seems like a poor soul and she wouldn't waste her time telling the rookie to handle it. A girl with cherry-colored eyes and tied-back brown hair approaches, telling him to let her know if he needs anything. He starts explaining what he's looking for, and the scene cuts to him testing a few items. A glove that looks like the Infinity Gauntlet emanating a blue aura, a sword so heavy he can't lift it, and a ring he seems satisfied with as he thanks the rookie for guiding him through so many shops. Taking the opportunity to ask where he could sell monster items, the girl leads him to the identification room, where an older man stares at him before allowing him in. The rookie introduces him to Master Wang, nicknamed Toothy, explaining that our protagonist wants to sell the items he collected in battle. The protagonist asks for an evaluation of the gauntlet's worth, noting that it's an orange quality item focused on agility and has a low usage level, which makes it great for beginners. He points out that it also has 3 gem slots for customization. Saying it's a good item, he asks the protagonist if he has a price in mind. Ning replies, the higher, the better. Toothy then stands, saying he'll look for potential buyers and asks the rookie, whom we now learn is named Yang, to take care of Ning. Toothy calls an elder named Mr. Zhang, asking if he'd like an item for Jin Lang, while Yang serves tea to Ning. After a while, Toothy returns, announcing he found a buyer willing to pay 50,000 crystals, but Ning will receive 46,000 after fees. Toothy informs him that the protagonist will need to go through a few formalities before he can get his money, and since he's looking to buy some equipment, he'll recommend a few items. We then cut to a group of bystanders, including that same clerk. One of them asks her why she let such fresh meat go if she likes attractive men. She replies that being handsome doesn't matter if he's broke, saying poor men don't deserve her time. The bystanders and the gold digger glance at Master Wang and the client he's escorting. One of the clerks mentions she heard the young man sold an item for 50,000 crystals and is now shopping for another. That's more than 3 months of their salaries combined. The gold digger, in shock, questions why she didn't assist him from the start. In the next scene, Yang tells the protagonist that next time he should look for her directly. She also finally introduces herself as Yang Sin. The following day, we see Ning strolling along, whistling and relaxed. He comments on how he tested the equipment spells the night before and discovered they aren't affected by the system. Now, he doesn't need to expose his abilities. He soon spots Yu and is surprised to find her in this place. But another voice quickly interrupts, a man calling out to Yu. We see a group of 4 people, a blue-haired mage, a warrior with a shield, a red-haired berserker with facial scars, and a short-haired, pink-haired girl who's a cleric. The cleric and the berserker greet Ning calmly, while Yu introduces them as members of her guild. Meanwhile, the mage and the knight eye Ning as if he owes them something. Ning wonders why they're looking at him that way, while the blue-haired man approaches Yu, mentioning that she's about to go through her second transformation. It's explained in Ning's thoughts that every 30 levels, you can undergo a transformation. This means Yu is close to level 60, making her worthy of being called a prodigy. She asks if something happened to prompt this question, but he simply hands her a potion, saying it's nothing special and just something he wanted to give her in honor of the achievement. It's an advanced agility potion that permanently boosts agility by plus 3 points. It's orange quality and consumable. The berserker remarks that it's a high-quality item that boosts attributes, while the cleric comments that it must be worth a lot. The blue-haired one replies that price isn't an issue. It only cost a few thousand crystals. He explains that what matters is that it's a good item, hard to come by, though his father managed to acquire it through some friends. However, to the rich kid's dismay, he rejects his gift, telling him to take it back. When he asks if she isn't committed to entering the best university, the spoiled rich kid watches her turn away and start walking off, saying she doesn't need it, and that they have other things to take care of, so they'd best be on their way. Interrupting her as she walks, blue-haired asks if she really prefers wasting time with this kind of trash, pointing toward our protagonist. Yu immediately warns him to watch his words, giving him an irritated glare. As blue-hair continues to mock, he questions what would happen, claiming that his star is just garbage destined to never amount to anything in life. Even Ning wonders why he's being attacked like this and thinks to himself that he might just have enough problems that only a forbidden spell could solve. The short-haired cleric approaches blue-haired, calling him by his name, Zhao Cheng, and tells him it's time to go. Telling him to leave Ning alone, she she adds that Ning can't even afford a simple potion. Zhao sneers at Ning, telling him to go away and stop embarrassing them. But Ning fires back, asking if Zhao is some rabid dog who bites whoever he wants, mocking that a mere +3 potion doesn't give him the right to show off. Blue-haired, enraged, retorts, asking if this poor kid wants to die talking like that. The knight joins the conversation, asking if Ning really has something better, otherwise he shouldn't speak so lightly about such a precious potion. Agreeing with the knight, Zhao taunts Ning, suggesting that if he really has something better, he wouldn't mind kneeling and banging his head on the ground. But if he doesn't, then Ning should be the one to kneel. Without hesitation, Ning pulls out the Vanguard badge from his pocket, telling them to brace themselves and thinking that this would be his gift to you. Everyone stares in awe as Yu asks if it really is an accessory that grants a permanent attribute increase, admitting that she's never seen anything like it. Yu's group questions if a +10 permanent boost could really exist, suspecting it might be a fake. Ning urges Yu to try it, inviting her to prove whether it's real or not. Using the excuse that he found it at home, Ning convinces Yu, who hesitated, saying that this item was meant to be hers. As soon as she uses the item, she announced out loud that her attributes did indeed increase. The cleric is amazed, while the two who doubted Ning insist it must be impossible and accuse him of having stolen such a treasure. Ning, mocking them, suggests they smash their heads against the ground since their ears must be clogged. While Zhao protests, saying he won't do it, Yu asks him if he's going to back down. The berserker and cleric look at him judgmentally as he finally drops to his knees and bows to Ning, seething with anger at being forced to do so. Calling Yu to go, Ning bids farewell to the group, saying they'll see each other around. We then skip forward to Ning and Yu walking together, now in a distance. Yu begins to apologize for Zhao and the others, but he cuts her off, saying their relationship doesn't require apologies. He then insists that he'd actually prefer if she didn't accompany him and focused on going alone to enroll in the best academy and achieve her second transformation. In his mind, however, he admits he just wants space to train properly without her around. Yu reassures him not to worry, but he responds that he isn't worried. She hands him 2 books, which he notes are purple quality skill books. She tells him to use and learn these abilities when he reaches the appropriate level. Ning asks if they weren't expensive, but Yu says that compared to the badge he gave her, it's nothing, so he accepts. The scene then cuts directly to a graveyard dungeon, where we see a dark landscape filled with gravestones. Suddenly, a hand bursts from the ground, followed by 2 undead figures rising from the earth. They shuffle toward the pair, already inside the dungeon, but then 2 energy arrows fly toward the undead, hitting both in the head and killing them instantly. Ning congratulates Yu on her accuracy. Internally, he grumbles that the experience here is absurdly low, but he can't reveal to her that he's already at level 10. Feeling uncertain, he's not sure what to do when he receives a call on her phone. She answers, and the cleric on the other end informs her that the great boss, the fallen necromancer, is about to appear. Noting that it's a rare chance, she asks Yu if she'll go. Zhao Cheng insists that Yu must go, as without her, they won't be able to win, and the fallen necromancer may drop rare items useful for mages, which are important to him. Yu looks at Ning, hesitant, but he tells her to go, assuring her that with everyone focused on this dungeon, he can continue training later. She agrees, telling him to wait for her in the safe area. He responds with a thumbs up, watching as she runs off. As she leaves, he jokingly calls her Granny, and she calls him an idiot and tells him to shut up. Once Yu is out of sight, Ning relishes finally being alone and thanks his lucky stars that such a powerful boss has appeared today. Happy to have prepared with 2 new skills, he notes that the book Miss Yu gave him can only be used at level 15. Regardless, all these skills can be used for free once, so the more he has, the better. However, at his current level, he only has 3 skill slots, revealing that players unlock 1 skill slot every 5 levels. The scene shifts to the middle of the cemetery, where various creatures roam with a hooded skeleton standing out among them. We see a group of background characters gathered, one in heavy armor, warning that they need to clear all the creatures to reach the end of the dungeon, where the boss awaits. He advises everyone to be cautious, as the monsters are tough. Suddenly, they're hit by a large flame. A support player urges the group to hurry, as another team has already reached the boss area. They wonder how the other team got there so quickly, and then recognize the members as Wang Yu and Zhao Cheng, who belong to the Sovereign Lion Guild, a group with national-level talent. We see Yu's team obliterating the creatures, while Zhao Cheng boasts that they'll be the ones to defeat the boss. As he brags, the barbarian and cleric discuss how Yu's strength has improved thanks to the +10 agility item. The scene then cuts to a massive tower surrounded by rugged mountain ranges, where a large rift opens near the tower. Ning emerges from the rift, already inside the tower, speaking of his new ability to teleport. This is the Void Walker skill, allowing him to cross into the dark world and move to another location, with a duration of 1 hour. As he steps onto the floor, a dark reddish aura emerges and a large skeletal figure cloaked in black rises, noticing Ning's presence and mocking him for being late. The giant skeleton casts a spell, launching what seems to be a green fireball with a monstrous face. The fireball strikes where Ning stands, exploding into green flames, leaving a large scorched mark on the floor. The skeletal necromancer mocks Ning, questioning how an adventurer dares appear alone. But sensing a presence behind him, he turns to see Ning emerging from another rift, with a chilling look in his eyes, saying he came alone so he wouldn't have to share the loot with others. The necromancer is taken aback as Ning raises his hand and reveals his newly unlocked skill, Meteor Shower. Rocks begin to fall from the sky, enveloped in cursed flames that wreak havoc across the area. Massive rocks plummet from above, hitting the tower and the necromancer, destroying the structure and part of the surrounding area in a blast that raises a cloud of dust. From the smoke, we see Ning's silhouette emerging, smiling, having killed multiple creatures along with the fallen necromancer, earning 50,000 experience points. With this experience, he reaches level 30, which enables his first transformation. Looking around at the drops scattered on the ground, he raises his hand, thinking about using the gems and jewels he collected, even if the books you gave him aren't exclusive, as they're still worth a lot of money. He receives the Pendant of the Fallen Law, requiring level 30 to use, a black soulstone material, and the necromancer's emblem. He picks up the necromancer's emblem, equips it, and immediately absorbs it, calculating that even though it costs him 3 stamina, he gains an advantage with a 15-point spirit boost. Suddenly, a system notification appears, alerting him that due to the detection of a special item, the necromancer's emblem, he can choose between the secret undead mage class during his transformation or activate a secret mission to unlock the all-element mage class. Considering how rare secret classes are and knowing there's no other way to obtain them, he speculates that emblems might serve to unlock hidden classes. He declares aloud that he doesn't need any more information and will become the all-element mage, smiling as meteors continue to fall around the dungeon. The scene shifts to use group, startled by the meteors striking around them. The barbarian questions how such a powerful spell is possible, while Yu urges everyone to retreat and follow her, warning that if they stay, they'll be flattened to ash. Jiao Cheng protests, saying they shouldn't abandon the boss, but Yu snaps at him, asking if he wants them all to die in this situation. Rumbling about their bad luck, he finally agrees. Yu takes out her phone to message Ning, but he responds, saying he already left to take care of something. We transition to outside the dungeon, where Ning approaches a temple and notices there's hardly anyone around. He spots a woman who asks if he's there for the transformation mission. Confirming, she promptly begins to register his information, his name, age, and class. Curious, she wonders aloud if he really only managed to awaken at 18 and only achieved a 1-star class. Finding his qualifications poor, she asks him to follow her to the awakening area for 1-star mages. They arrive in a room with various floating crystals arranged around a circular space in the center. She instructs him to follow the steps, saying she'll leave him to it, and Ning simply thanks her. We follow the woman as she walks away, encountering a familiar face, Captain Joe, who stops her to report the results of an investigation. He explains that the sinister cemetery suffered extensive damage and the energy source hasn't been found, though it's estimated to be at king-level strength. She asks if there really were 2 king-level threats in 2 days. Captain Zhao replies that's exactly why he was sent here and tells her, Jing, to put Lone Shadow into action. The scene cuts to the system notification about the first transformation mission for the Necromancer class, in which Ning needs to enter the realm of illusions at the tomb of Wu Manguai to obtain the item Crown of the Blood Soul. The mission has a 3-day deadline and an A-level difficulty rating. We see a masked figure with white hair floating in elaborate attire, displaying another system screen. This one details the prerequisites for the first transformation mission for the God of All Magic Systems class, which requires Ning to enter the realm of illusions in the Temple of the Radiant Sun and obtain the sacred emblem item. This mission has an S-level difficulty and also a 3-day deadline. He decides to choose the God of All Magic Systems class, reasoning that it's only an initial mission. Another window appears, confirming his choice as he starts out with the mission selected. He's relieved to have 3 days, appreciating that the timeline isn't too tight. As he leaves, he says goodbye to a woman who also bids him farewell, but he realizes that this woman is different from the one he met earlier. The scene shifts back to the destroyed, fallen Necromancer's tower. In the shadows of the cavern, silhouettes are visible as a rookie comments on seeing a lone shadow for the first time, while Captain Jiao tells him to keep his voice down, reminding him that the very existence of this organization is a secret that must not be leaked. Jiao mentions that it's rumored all members of this organization possess a hidden class that allows them to harness the power of the dark force in combat, specifically for completing special missions. The woman from earlier, now clad in armor, comments that even though the energy has almost entirely dissipated, it still affects her due to its overwhelming power. She tells the 2 men who were speaking earlier that they haven't found any leads on the culprit, who likely vanished after causing the destruction, leaving them unable to discern his motives. Zhao asks her if there might be a connection between the anomalies occurring in the secret realms and this recent incident. She can't confirm anything, but says she'll consult her superiors and request reinforcements. The rookie asks if they really sent the Lone Shadow's Hurricane herself, and if they're genuinely that concerned, then speculates that it might not even be a monster. Jing cuts him off, asking if he suspects it's a mutant like herself. He apologizes, saying he didn't mean to imply that. She replies replies that the power level exceeded king level, pointing out that a human body couldn't handle controlling such massive dark energy. The man deduces that an unusually powerful monster must be lurking in the region, posing a potential catastrophe. She agrees, saying they need to locate it as soon as possible since it's hiding in the shadows. The scene then shifts directly to the protagonist's home, which is pitch dark as he closes the curtains, remarking that he finds the darkness strangely comforting. Sitting on the floor, he mentions that he's reached level 30, now having 4 additional magic slots. He immediately unlocks the 2 skills you gave him. The first, Arcane Shield, automatically fuses with Unholy Earth Shield, forming the Unholy Earth Defense. This new passive ability nullifies up to 100% of the damage that the Unholy Earth Shield absorbs. It activates automatically when he's attacked, and the defense capacity gradually regenerates after use. He grins, noting that weaker skills can combine to form new abilities, and says that normal attacks are ineffective against him. Checking what the other book does, he finds that it's Skill, Falling Rock Technique, infused with Unholy Earth Shield and Meteor Shower to create Earth Elemental Mastery, which increases the effects of all Earth skills by 20%. Looking at his system, he sees he still has 4 active skill slots open, so he plans to visit Yuan Chang's exhibition again to purchase more skill books. Upon arriving at the exhibition, we see the protagonist enter, glancing around and passing the same opportunistic woman he encountered last time. As he walks past, she recognizes him and steps in front of him, informing him that if he's looking for Miss Yang, she's busy with another client, so she'll accompany him today. He brushes her off, saying he'll browse on his own, ignoring her and leaving her visibly irritated. She tells him not to worry, that it's her job, but she is soon interrupted by Yang, who arrives running. The protagonist asks her if she has finished her work, but she explains she wasn't with a client, she was just having a snack in the back. He apologizes for interrupting her meal and promises to take her out for dinner later, while the opportunistic woman complains in the background. The scene cuts directly to Master Wang's office, where he examines the items Ning wants to sell, which include 2 purple-grade skill books. Ning also requests to purchase skills for mages, and Wang asks Yang to assist him while he searches for buyers. In his mind, however, Wang starts to grow suspicious of Ning, thinking back to the last visit when he sold an orange-grade weapon, and now he's bringing in 2 purple quality books. Wang considers sending someone to investigate Ning's background, curious about his past. The scene shifts to a restaurant where Ning and Yang are finishing up a good meal. Ning asks for the check, but she tells him she already paid, even though they had agreed that he would cover it. He looks confused, but she insists she has her reasons and that he shouldn't worry about it. He asks what she means, but she says it's her little secret. Outside, they talk about how he now owes her one, but she denies it, explaining that she has somewhere else to be. She then calls a taxi, gets in, and he wishes her a safe journey. The driver asks where they're headed, and she replies that they're going to Municipal Hospital No. 2. She thinks to herself that thanks to Ning, she earned a good commission and can finally pay her father's medical expenses for the month. Suddenly, as the driver continues driving, the car windows shatter with a loud noise, sending shards of glass and blood inside. The cause of the accident soon becomes clear. A massive blue portal has appeared in the city's center, with creatures pouring out, attacking people on the street and smashing cars. The creature that caused the accident had hurled itself at the car, raking through the window and killing the driver. Yang managed to leap out of the vehicle, landing on the ground, and questions how monsters could enter the safe zone. As she stands up, she sees a large, muscular creature with 2 claws and a blood-stained shell, the same creature that had just killed the driver. In the sky, a humanoid silhouette emerges from the portal and slowly descends. Its right arm appears to be affected by some kind of mutation, and as it smiles, we can see what looks like a skull pendant with a blue gem around its neck. Suddenly, our view cuts to a large explosion. Within the flames of the explosion, we see the massive creature that just attacked Yang, roaring as the flames dissipate. We see Yang, impressed with her arm extended, asking if her magic had no effect at all. A screen appears showing that she is a 1-star mage at level 34. The enormous creature leaps down to attack her, but mid-air, its body disintegrates into blood. We see a man holding a large sword, wearing heavy armor, emanating a glow from his blade. The creature's blood splatters as Yang protects herself, realizing that it was Captain Zhao who defended her. He asks if she's alright, and after she replies that she is, he warns her that if she can move, she should find a place to hide. As Yang begins to run, Zhao questions whether the entire environment has truly been corrupted, explaining that the secret realm has started to merge with reality. He adds that he has never seen such a severe decay. Looking at the remains of the creature he just sliced, he warns that these creatures are far too strong for 1-star people to handle. He reflects on the scientist's words, which indicated that there is an incredibly powerful creature within the realm that could cause trouble at any moment. As he ponders whether this could be the one they are searching for, he is suddenly startled by a hand approaching rapidly. He dodges quickly, getting into a fighting stance and questioning whether this human is a mutant. We are shown the being that emerged from the enormous rift, a man with blue hair, part of his body modified to resemble armor. He has bands with symbols around his neck and a band on his head. This man denies being a mutant and tells Zhao not to compare him to scum like mutants, revealing himself to be the guardian of the power of darkness. Zhao wonders if he has heard of a guardian before, but concludes that he hasn't, though he knows it's not the time to dwell on that. He initiates combat, charging at the guardian in an attempt to catch him off guard with a slash, but he is repelled back by a direct punch from the modified arm. Zhao is thrown backward, complaining that this man must be at least above the third transformation as he hits the ground. The guardian lowers his finger and begins to laugh, warning that this is his territory, emanating a blue aura with black lightning. He smiles, his eyes turning black with glowing blue pupils. This man grins broadly as he begins to advance, declaring that someone as weak as Zhao is not fit to withstand a confrontation against him. He approaches quickly and delivers a direct blow to Zhao's armored chest. Although Zhao was in a defensive stance, he is struck easily, his body being thrown back, leaving a trail of blood behind. The guardian laughs, celebrating that he has indeed grown stronger, stating that stepping on this land brings a sensation of constant power surging. A glow begins to emanate from the stone of his necklace, producing a strange voice that warns the guardian he is just a weak human and should not be satisfied yet. The guardian apologizes, appearing frightened. The voice returns, informing him that the power he is using was granted by it, telling him that without it, he would be just another piece of trash, weak and useless like a crawling creature, just like the other humans. We see the guardian's mind transported to a dark and strange environment as a rift opens, revealing an eye, followed by a face and a body of a creature that emanates a sinister aura. This creature warns him to prove his worth by using the people in the city as sacrifices so that it can dominate this world. The guardian agrees, and our view shifts to a normal environment where we see Ning exiting a building with his hand in his pocket, opening his eyes and wondering what happened during the time he went to the bathroom. We see people lying on the floor, remnants of tables and objects scattered about, with a creature wandering among them. This creature turns around, noticing Ning's presence, and begins to advance toward him, releasing a strange grunt. Ning simply waits as it approaches. Just as the creature gets close, the ground starts to crack, and a massive pointed pillar of rock erupts from it, splitting the creature in half. Ning remains still, extending his hand forward as he thanks his luck for having bought a gauntlet with a purple quality magic thorn wall attached. He is merely taking advantage of the bonus from his stone magic. We see him begin to open the doors to the outside, revealing that he was apparently in a restaurant looking out at the scene that is completely filled with this strange matter, while we see a blood-soaked man being dragged. He is thrown to the ground, and we realize that the one dragging him is the guardian, who starts walking toward the protagonist. Suddenly, our view cuts to a large explosion. Within the flames of the explosion, we see the massive creature that just attacked Yang, roaring as the flames dissipate. We see Yang, impressed with her arm extended, asking if her magic had no effect at all. The guardian questions how it is possible for this human to have blocked his assault so easily. The voice of the creature from the necklace returns to the guardian's mind, stating that the aura before him is so strong, the most powerful dark force. It warns the guardian that the boy's power far exceeds his own, and that he senses a more terrifying aura than death itself coming from him. Ning loudly asks the guardian if he, being strong, is going to use a forbidden curse in the city. His eyes widen with a mix of rage and bloodlust. As he expands his defense, he shatters the guardian's arm's shell, causing the guardian to question whether his arm was truly rendered useless so easily. He calls for help from his leader, but is told that the one he is trying to reach is unreachable. We hear a scream as we shift our view to another location, where the strange creatures are desperately rushing back into the rift, with someone inside urging them to be quick, because the doors are almost closing. We return our focus to Ning and the guardian, who, holding his own arm, questions what has happened to his power. Meanwhile, we see a smile along with Ning's shining eyes. The chapter begins differently, explaining how the so-called mutants work. During the awakening process, they emerge with the secret class Shadow, which allows them to wield dark force, making them more powerful than ordinary classes at the same level. However, once they lose the protection of the dark force, we are shown again the confrontation between Ning and the former guardian, who screams as he is pierced in the chest by a large stone spike. We see items falling to the ground while Ning sighs, noting that he was indeed difficult to deal with. His luck is that he can fully focus on the attack without worrying about defense. Ning states that he will collect the fallen items first before anyone notices, and then head home. We cut to a scene outside a building where two people are walking and talking. Jing is accompanied by a girl with short hair, who informs her that the monsters that emerged from the realm have retreated and the invasion of the realm has vanished. Jing starts to think about the recent events, considering the two destructive abilities used, the invasion of a realm in reality that appeared and then suddenly disappeared, wondering what the enemies want. She asks the girl with short hair what happened in other areas. The girl replies that they are generally safe, except for the significant losses and destruction in the southern region. Jing mentions that this is the area Captain Zhao was responsible for. She suggests they should take a look at the region. The scene darkens, and we now see a man examining the body of the former captain, now dead, with a pierced arm from spikes. This gray-haired man asks if all their belongings were stolen. The man's name is revealed to be Du, and as his shout echoes, ordering him not to move and to state his name. We see Jing and the short-haired girl approaching while Du reveals himself to be a member of the Cloud Kingdom. He shows his identification emblem while Jing questions whether it's the unofficial organization composed internally of fighters. He confirms this as Jing asks again if they don't usually operate in secrecy, then inquires why he is in this location. Duan looks at the dead former guardian, stating that he was part of his organization but betrayed them. He aided the invasion of reality by directing the creatures from the rift toward their camp, but only a few survived. The girl with short hair asks if this just happened, and Jing adds if it was the death of this man that ended the invasion. Duan asks if they were the ones who killed him, but Jing denies it, stating that they don't even know who it was. Du-en reflects that the former guardian hid within the spaces in realms and that he had searched for him multiple times, but he always escaped. Jing continues her reasoning, thinking that Zhao was the strongest in the third transformation, yet he was easily defeated. She contemplates that for someone to have stopped the invasion and defeated someone so strong, they both share the same thought that perhaps there is indeed someone so formidable in the city of King Yu. Du-en interrupts her thoughts, beginning to move away as he says he will look for something after Jing asks where he is going. We go directly to Ning's home, where he is celebrating that the former captain dropped 2 sets of orange armor from the fighter class, though they require level 120. He thinks that this is more exciting than fighting bosses, and that since he wasn't using those sets, he likely didn't have a level to equip them. Otherwise, he would need to use some forbidden magic to gain the necessary level. Ning pulls out the necklace he was wearing, seeing that it has no specifications and its information is unknown. He wonders if there is some ancient god hidden inside this pendant. We see another location, observing Ning's face through a globe. The same creature that was speaking with the former guardian is saying that it's a good thing he closed the distortion in time and hopes he hasn't been discovered. We see him seated on a throne, observing the globe that shows Ning. As he looks at Ning, he's asking about an ancient god inside the pendant, which causes a tremendous panic in this creature, leading to a drop in graphic quality as it orders to cut off contact before its location is revealed. All the creatures start to run, tidying the place up to resolve the issue. We see the creature desperate and panting as it stammers, saying how fortunate it is that it managed to close the rift and almost died from fright, asking how Ning felt it. We shift directly to the city hospital, where we see a room in which Captain Zhao states that it was that young fighter who saved them, and as soon as the enemy saw him, they fled through the rift. Jing confirms that Du-en indeed didn't seem weaker than her, so it's possible. Meanwhile, the assistant beside her asks if even such a strong man wasn't able to defeat the former captain, and if it's truly a mystery that killed him. Jing affirms that it seems so, at least for now. She mentions that he could just be passing through or hiding, but whoever did this is definitely a recorded mystery. She states that aside from the common marks of magic at the scene, nothing else was found. Zhao begins to say that if this mystery truly lived around here, he would feel safer. The assistant expresses an exaggerated idea while we see the exterior of the hospital building. He continues his sentence by asking if there are traces of the dark force from the battlefield last night. Zhao confirms that there were some monsters from the realm present. The assistant insists that it's a crazy idea, but he asks if this great mystery could be a mutant. After all, the 2 forbidden spells caused no fatalities for them. He continues his sentence asking if this great mystery could be, but he is cut off by Zhao, who states that this is impossible and that he's just overthinking it. Jing starts to wonder if he really is thinking too far from reality. The scene changes to Ning walking down the street, approaching 2 security guards. He introduces himself while notifying the guards that he has come for a class change mission. We see a vast location with a symbol of the sun, as Ning confirms that this is the Temple of the Radiant Sun. Behind him, we see a shadow lurking behind a rock, spying on Ning, revealing itself to be Du-en as we flash back to a few days earlier at the exposition. We see Du-en entering the room with the broker announcing to Master Wan that he has arrived. Wan greets Du-en and asks if he is the one interested in a set of armor for a 4-transformation fighter. The broker begins to think about how tall, elegant, and strong he is and how her future would be secured if she were beside him. She wouldn't have to worry about the future. Wan continues, saying that an old client just called to sell a 4-star armor set for fighters. However, he only has 2 pieces, the pants and the breastplate. Du-en asks where this seller is, but Wang says he cannot come today. In Du-en's mind, he begins to think about the pants and breastplate being 4-star. Although it's not yet confirmed, it's likely that this is his master's legacy. We return to the normal world with Du-en asking where this client is and that he would even pay for the information. Wang questions what is happening and wonders internally if it is a coincidence. He thinks about how Ning Feng just announced the armor set, and then this man appear asking for information, as if they had planned it. He begins to tell Du-en that he remembers the seller mentioning something about going to a neighboring city to settle some matters, so he would call to confirm. We go inside Master Wang's office as he questions the broker if the gentleman has already left. She confirms that she escorted him out while asking if anything was wrong. He begins to discuss having done some investigations into Ning's background. He is just a young man with both parents being ordinary with common 2-star classes. They disappeared when he was young in an accident, leaving him alone. After that, he went to Academy number 7 and only awakened at 18, but he is only a 1-star class. He states aloud that he thought he was stronger, but he seems very weak. The broker begins to think in her head that she always found him suspicious with that poor appearance, and now he would be exposed. She asks aloud how he managed to acquire the items he was selling in the shop, and how a 1-star could obtain such good things. Wang asserts that this is the problem. He might even be friends with the daughter of the Wang group, but the group hasn't helped him much. She has a lapse in her thoughts, considering that the man didn't seem happy. Then she exclaims loudly, asking if Ning might have stolen the set. Wang warns that it may not have been stolen, but it certainly wasn't obtained legitimately, and this time Ming has annoyed the wrong person. She agrees, noting that after all, a person with 4 transformations is a strong figure even in Beishan province. She thinks he probably stole these items, and now he's going to be in big trouble. We return our view to the area of the Temple of the Radiant radiant sun, where we see Duan chasing Ning throughout the location. He thinks while following him that it's incredible that someone so young managed to clear a realm that even people like his master couldn't handle the bosses. But apparently his master's set is in Ning's hands. He gets closer while continuing to think that even if he isn't the strong one, someone behind him is, so he better be careful. Ning observes the battlefield where adventurers are fighting against common creatures. But we go back to Duan's perspective, looking at Ning from behind as he raises his arm and equips his standard armor set. Duan contemplates how he might estimate Ning's strength based on his clothing. However, as soon as Ning reveals his novice mage outfit, Duan looks foolish. Seeing how ordinary it is and resembling a freshly graduated student, he suspects it might be a disguise. He thinks that for his age, a novice disguise wouldn't draw attention and would make it easy for him to blend into the crowd. He sees that he might try to hide and evade him, and since he cannot follow too closely, he ends up using his skill to mark Ning with the spiritual sensor. This locates the target within his own consciousness without being detected. He chooses Ning's casual appearance to mark him. Ning walks across the battlefield, heading directly for the temple, while Duan questions why he is in this realm with so many high-level monsters. We see Ning entering the boss room being immediately attacked by one of the creatures present, but the attack is completely nullified by Ning's passive shield. Duan is startled by the unbreakable absolute defense. He notices how the monsters are avoiding him, confirming that he is truly not simple. We see the poor monsters fleeing desperately from this psychopath. While Duan looks at a massive statue, seemingly made of bronze, seated on a throne and gazing forward, he thinks that this must be the final boss and wonders if Ning will really face him alone. As Ming speaks aloud, celebrating the absence of anyone nearby, Duan wonders why he is facing a low-level boss, and especially why the statue is not moving. Ning thinks that the mission guide did not mention this statue, so he simply begins to walk around the throne, heading toward a corridor behind it. We see as he circles the statue, trembling in fear and sweating, hoping not to be discovered by this living hack. Even Duan questions why he is going around while Ming celebrates having found the location. A massive armored being with golden wings, a hood, and an elegant pose hovers in the air within a beautifully decorated room. We see this silver armor with golden details as we approach the hood, where inside we see the light of this creature's eyes as it begins to move. Ming wonders why the creature has retreated, but our view returns to Duan, who questions whether he knew about the existence of this hidden boss, and if it really is a rare hidden boss. We then see that the mission for the god class of all magic systems has been activated, with the objective of defeating the secret boss, the six-winged angel. Ming begins to question how someone would be able to deal with this on their first class change, noting that it is truly a rank S mission. We then see the angel fleeing, telling itself that this is its own realm, so where could it go? This is terrible. It breaks through the ceiling, trying to distance itself as much as possible from Ning. As golden lightning strikes from the sky, we see it flying outside, but just below, Ning simply observes with his right hand in his pocket. He raises it afterward as a purple aura surrounds his hand, wearing a serious expression. The system notifies that the forbidden skill Thunderfall has been activated, summoning a great storm of lightning that displays the power of the heavens. We see a massive eye opening in the middle of the clouds with a golden pupil, like a god observing a worm, as an overwhelming electrical energy strikes toward the ground like an obliterating lightning bolt that completely disintegrates the existence of this small pigeon. Meanwhile, Ning continues posing in front of the descending lightning from the sky. We see a large destroyed area billowing smoke as it crumbles, with Duan on the ground looking up, not understanding what just happened, revealing that the structure was actually the temple. He says he has never seen anything so destructive in his life, and that this power is something terrifying. He wonders if this could be someone who has reached the 8 transformations, a legendary figure who is definitely above his master. We return to Ning, who is observing the pierced ceiling, stating that until he completes this transformation, he won't be able to level up, complaining about wasting experience. He takes the emblem he needed in his hand, affirming that he got the item, so it isn't so bad, as he pulls out a teleportation scroll to leave the area. He hears someone telling him to wait, and it is Duan who arrives running. We see the face of someone who locked the doors so tightly that even Ning couldn't get a Wi-Fi signal, while asking if he had seen anything. Duan also looks frightened, but it's because Ning's expression is very serious. He tries to calm the situation by asking Ming not to get angry, and that he could explain himself. As he finishes speaking, we hear an alarm starting to sound, and Ning tells him they should leave the place first and talk outside. Duan agrees, and the next scene is on a hill, with just a huge tree. Duan is sitting on the ground as Ning asks if he has been following him the whole time. Duan apologizes, stating that he didn't intend to, and just wanted to confirm something. Besides, he looks very young, so he didn't know if he could trust his vision. He starts to explain that even though his master was strong, he sacrificed himself to temporarily seal the realm, but the traitor managed to escape. Duan continues, expressing anger while clenching his fists that over the years, this traitor sacrificed countless humans to undo the seal. He even pursued him but was never able to catch up. Ning looks foolish, thinking about this guy being at the 4th transformation. If he hadn't revealed himself, he would never have noticed him. He considers that even with the forbidden skills, his level is very low, so it's just a matter of time before he gets discovered for his foolishness. Duan looks frightened while staring seriously at Ning as if he might tear a piece out of him. Duan thinks to himself that Ning has gone silent all of a sudden, wondering if he is considering killing him to hide his secret. Even though he is scared, Duan thanks him for avenging his deceased master, stating that if he needs anything in the future, he will be there to help. Ning thinks about him not being weak and apparently being solitary, so forming a good relationship would be very useful. Ning then makes it clear that no one besides him can know what happened in that place. Duan assures him that he can rest easy. He will keep the secret, while in his mind he thinks about Ming's magic possessing a great power of dark force, but it does not harm innocents, and he is the one who cleared the invasion from the realm and saved the city. So even though he doesn't understand why he should remain discreet despite being so strong, he owes him his respect. In any case, he has nowhere to go, so he will stay in Kinyu for the time being. We see Ning getting up and starting to walk with Duan following him. Our protagonist's phone starts ringing as he answers, saying the name Professor Kai. She asks where he is, and he quickly responds that he is outside the city and will be back soon, questioning if she needs anything. She informs him that she has some things to ask him and that if he has time later when he returns, he should meet her. She suddenly hangs up while he wonders why she would call out of the blue. But we cut directly to a meeting room where Professor Kai is talking to Jing. Jing asks what she said, and Professor Ki affirms that he is fine and will be back soon. Jing mentions how he awakened a few days ago and already reached the first transformation. She comments that if it weren't for the investigation, he would have gone unnoticed. Kai adds that Ning is studious and has good character, so she trusts that he is not a bad person. Jing states that she is not insinuating that he is bad, she just needs to clarify some things. She looks with a bit of distrust as the scene shifts to a conference room. In this room, a man starts announcing some preliminary information, stating that soon the superiors would be interested in this. An old man questions if there is anything else to discuss, while Jing asks if they think the spells used in the city were caused by mutants. They all look at each other, while the old man steps forward, warning that she herself is a mutant, so why is she asking this? This same old man begins to explain that the mutants use the power of dark force, but need to pay an equivalent price. The stronger the mutant, the stronger the price to be paid. The costs can vary from losing sanity, life, or even turning into monsters. Even common prices, if used carelessly, can lead to a terrible fate. We see a man suffering from the negative effects of dark force as the explanation is given, and then we see Jing's face, with the old man finishing by emphasizing that a mutant with the strength of a king is impossible. We see a man with blue hair, similar to Vegeta's, jumping into the conversation, calling Jing an old friend, warning her that she is starting to lose her mind as she is the only one to invent a mutant of king level. He advises her to go write stories since she enjoys making them up so much. Jing cuts him off, stating that she is just considering all the options, and whether he wants to listen to them is up to him. This same blue-haired man asks if she is really trying to explain herself, then clearly she is incompetent and cannot figure anything out. He states that if there really were a mutant at king level, he would rip off his own head for her to use as a wall. The old man adds that everyone has sent investigation teams to the city of Kinyu, asking for cooperation and informing them that the investigation team will assist with all the work they need. He informs her that the requests for reinforcements from the Lone Shadow have not been approved. She questions if this is a lack of confidence in her, but he responds that no, it is not a lack of confidence, and she should just be patient. Hey everyone, did you enjoy this story? I really liked it. If you want to follow the next part, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. See you in the next story, guys.